Election 2024 is over. America has voted, and both sexism and racism have won the day. On Liberal Dan Radio, we will hold everyone accountable, from the media that failed to report the threat that Trump poses to this nation, to the people who supported him. We will pick up the mantle to educate the people about his actions, from being dictator on day one, pardoning January 6th domestic terrorists, implementing Project 2025, and any other draconian measures he tries to pass. And now, the resistance begins. Welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left and right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, you will have a phone call, the phone number up listed later, but it will be when we do it. 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261, but we're not having the phone lines open yet, so don't call in yet. We are also having the chats both at liberaldanradio.com and twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. Either way, we'll get you involved in the chat. Let me just do this real quick. Make sure it works. Did it work? Sort of. Oh, I'm the first sub, whatever. But didn't come across as a notification from OBS. Oh well, it is what it is, right? Anyway, do I seem quiet? I don't know. Am I not loud enough? Do I need to speak louder? Let me check my audio levels. Input. Yeah, that's probably why. Because I'm at 79 and not 100. Because for some reason my stupid computer, even the new one, likes to do that crap for me. Anyway, I just used my free Amazon Prime subscription using my Nerdy Dan account to subscribe to Liberal Dan Radio on Twitch. So you can do so as well. If you have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you anything. Just go ahead and connect your accounts, and you'll be able to support the show that way for free. You can also support the show for free by liking, sharing, subscribing for free, following over on Twitch, etc. All that good stuff. You can also download this game for free as well. I'm linking to my nerdydan.com blog. So if you want to check that over there, if you haven't downloaded the game yet, please make sure to do so. And let's see who we have in chat so far. We got Aaron and Jolie. Thank you, both members of the Mod Squad. We got Josh, Molly, Michael McAndrews. We got Chris, Big Hook from the Great White North, Alton, sadly all from deep in heart of Texas. The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Unfortunately, not too much else is bright going on in Texas. Anyway, yes, exactly, 250 kiloohms. Amazon Prime doesn't cost you a dime. I got Roxanne. You got Jeff from just north of Uranus. Fancy. Good to see you. Roxanne, Jan. Am I missing anybody? Penny to Crate, good to see you as well. Thank you for joining the show. Progressively Independent as well. Good to see you too. If I missed you, I'm sorry. It scrolled on me all of a sudden, so it happens, you know. Or as Trump says. It is what it is. Thank you, Donald. What's up, Brandon? Good to see you as well. Bunch of stuff to talk about. Let's bring this. I'll probably bring this up again later in the show as well. However, let's switch on over to the alternate screen really quickly. Easy for me to say. I have an update on the game download because I was not sure whether or not the $20 pack, after you earn 30 to 100 trophies in this game, would also trigger the $8 pack or the $4 pack. No, it does not. So if you get it to 3,800 trophies, which took me a little bit, but once I hit 3,800 trophies, I freaking took off like a rocket ship. Like, I'm almost at 20,000 at this point. So that's, helpful to know. But also, there's no $4 pack or $8 pack or $20 pack. There's nothing that specifically costs that much while playing the game. If you want to do the $4 pack, you have to buy something anywhere between $3 exactly and $6 exactly. So if it's $4.99, $5.99, it works. $2.99 doesn't work. $8 pack, something between $7 and $11. So $7.99 works, $6.99 does not, $10.99 works, $11.99 does not. But once you get to the 3,800 trophies, if you make a purchase from anywhere between $18 and $23, it gets me a little extra money. How much extra money? If you get to 3,800 trophies and buy a $20 pack, which again is $18 to $23, it's $46 for each user up to the first 8 users. However, if you're not going to play that much, but you still want to get more bang for your buck by contributing to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. If you purchase a $3 pack, not $2.99, but it has to be at least 3, you get 10. I get 10 for that. So $3 from you gets me 10, or $6 from you gets me 10 is what gets me 10 as well. So you're getting much more bang for your buck than you normally would. If you just have to download the game using my link over on the nerdydan.com site, and then if you buy an $8 pack, which is again anywhere between $7 and $11, that gets me $23. There's no other way to contribute money to the show that's going to get the most bang for your buck than that as of right now. So just letting y'all know, I appreciate all that you do. I appreciate the Venmo. I appreciate the super chats, super stickers, bits, bot subscriptions, etc. I appreciate all of that. It's wonderful whenever y'all do it. If you download the game and play it, it's also free. It doesn't cost you anything. But if you want to do those extra little bits there, let me know. And if you want to know whether or not I've hit the max threshold on those levels as well, that you can also email me, and I'll let you know if we need more at that particular level. Getting the $8 pack also gets a free Twitch subscription on nerdydan.com for people. So it's another additional way. So not only do I get $23, I get whatever my share of a new sub is. That's gifted sub. So anyway, so there's that. We'll come back to that a little later, just to kind of remind everybody. But, it's just one of the many different ways that you can help support the show. The most important one, of course, is watching videos, sharing videos, liking them, commenting on them, interacting with other people. It's the best way to do it. It helps the algorithm out, and as we all know, Algor needs lots of rhythm. Hey, Orvilby over in Twitch, thank you for joining. Appreciate you as well. To Aaron, hey everyone I missed, took me a while to get logged into church. Hey, it's Trucker John. Good to see you, Trucker John. Awesome to have you come by, hanging around. Trucker John and all of the bad mother truckers are definitely people you should hang out with. Oh, it's Impeccable Living also joining in the chat.
Oh my.
Thank you for joining us, Impeccable Living. It's impeccable timing. Anyway, so lots of stuff to go into. Hold your earphones a second, or watch your earbuds a second if you have earbuds in. Apparently today they had Katy Perry was one of the group of women space tourists / astronauts that joined the realm of people who have been into outer space. And fortunately for Katy Perry, she did not become a firework. Anyway, had to make a little joke there. So anyway, let's see. What do we want to talk about first? Hey, Mad Mac, good to see you. I'm sorry, I forgot about you. And CR as well. So does anyone remember Josie and the Pussycats, the cartoon? There's a spaceship. It looked like a big schlong, penis, whatever. I do remember that. I do remember that as well. So anyway, trying to see if I've missed anything else in the chat before going on to the first of several topics to talk about. And let's actually go ahead and do that. Hold on. Did I mistake that again? I made a mistake again. Hilarious. I've screwed up the call-in number yet again. There we go. I got it right this time. Of course, the call-in number is going to look like that now because I'm a dummy. Anyway, so lots of, stuff out there talking about Donald Trump and how he had his wonderful, perfect medical exam. He had his brain, tested, his memory tested, his cognitive abilities, and he challenged anybody to do better than him because you can't, because he scored perfect on it, and all the other things that are perfect with his medical history, current medical status, etc. Now, few things on that make me want to, share a few words. First and foremost, yes, Donald Trump is a big liar. He tells big lies bigly. He tells lies all the time, all the livelong day. So should we be at all surprised that Donald Trump is also spreading lies about what his health is? I mean, clearly his cognitive abilities are not perfect. I mean, that's 100% sure. I'm 100% certain that Donald Trump's cognitive abilities stink. But it's also plainly, or at least mostly obvious, that the weight that Donald Trump lists is kind of like, the weight on many people's driver's license. Incorrect. And now people are showing examples of him, like next to famous athletes, and saying, here's Trump next to this famous athlete that's also 6'3". How can they both be the same weight? Well, one thing is that if you're looking at cellulite versus muscle mass is much more compact. It's much more dense than cellulite. So a pound of muscle, it will weigh as much as a pound of fat, but a pound of muscle will take up less space than a pound of cellulite. So there are possibilities that, what if that's the case? I still don't believe it's true. But I have no reason to believe anything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth at all. Be it transgender mice, be it, that he's a law and order type of person. Clearly he isn't. All those sorts of things. So I'm not shocked he'd lie about his health. And of all the lies that, actually, second of all, one thing I have seen, though, is there are people who are doing it who are mocking Donald Trump who are fat shaming. Now, we can make fun of the fact that he's a liar. We can make fun of many things about him. But the one thing I have an issue with is the people who are fat shaming, because Donald Trump's never going to hear you fat shame. He'll never hear it at all. He won't pay attention. He won't even care. He'll just he'll be deluded into thinking to himself he's the most healthy human specimen on the face of the earth, which we all know is not true. But when you fat shame him, he's not going to hear it, but the other people are. Your friends who are obese are going to hear it. Other people who are obese are going to hear it, and it's going to potentially affect them. Fortunately for me, I have a thick skin. I usually can handle that sort of things, both literally and, figuratively. But my self-deprecation of myself, making fun of my own weight, is something completely different than me making fun of others. So I would highly recommend that we focus on, the more important things. Speaking of which, of all the lies Donald Trump has ever told, this one is the least harmful one he's ever told that I can think of. Maybe there's been one or two that have been even less harmful still. But we should be focusing on the lies that put people in danger, that put people in jeopardy, that cause harm to people. That's the lies that we should be focusing on. Do we want to say that he's lying here? Sure. Briefly mention it. But people are spending far too much time about this and are giving it undue weight. And that's my 2 cents on that issue. If you agree with me, disagree, leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe. And, of course, unless you're a Nazi or fat shamer, have a good day. Chad, $10, super chats. Breaking news, Donald Trump to download his consciousness via Neuralink and become the first human to live forever. I wouldn't be surprised. Of course, the problem is that the Neuralink implant would try it and be like, error, nothing found, cannot find anything, no brain detected. Let's see. Calling people MS-13 members when they're not is a big point to your statement. Exactly, Mad Mac. That's one of the things that are harmful to people. Those are the harmful lies. Him lying about his weight, I couldn't care less about him lying about his weight. It's just one more lie on the pack of all of the lies he's ever told ever. And again, it's if not the least harmful lie he's ever told, it's close. Hey, Christina, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Hey, Dawn, good to see you as well. Let's see, is there anything? Yeah, focus on the lie, the hypocrisy, exactly. Now, that's true. If you want to talk about the hypocrisy, if he fat shames other people, I guess let me record that as well and just add it to the video later. I can always edit it in. Here's the thing. If Donald Trump were to fat shame other people, and he has, it would be absolutely okay for you to point out the hypocrisy of him fat shaming somebody else. Trucker John brought up that point, so I felt it was very important to include it. Yes, exposing him for his hypocrisy is a tale as old as time. But again, it should also be given, it should not be given undue weight still. Because there are many other things that he's hypocritical about that are, again, more harmful to others. Yeah, exactly. Evazant, fat weighs less than brains. Yes, he does fat shame others, especially women. Sure. And when he does so, it's perfectly okay. It's not fat shaming to point out the hypocrisy of somebody who's obese fat shaming other people. But it's not okay, again, to mock somebody for being fat in and of themselves. So, anyway. What's the next thing to talk about? Oh yeah, this fun thing. Let's change this yet again. There we go. So if you listened to the last episode of Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right, from Wednesday, or if you saw the bit that I uploaded, or the clip that I uploaded where I responded to user Manasseh, you would see that I've been very critical of the false narrative that the Democrats, the liberals, have lost the working class. I've also, if you've paid attention to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right, and, if you paid attention to my criticisms of the media in general, and specifically MSNBC, you would see that there are many examples where they have shown themselves to be inadequate for the task at hand, which is to accurately report things about Donald Trump, the type of person he is, etc. But it's also, by doing what they've done in this video, and let's go ahead, and it was following a little bit of Bernie Sanders, at a rally or whatever, and one of the MSNBC hosts, I didn't really feel like finding it on YouTube, so I just recorded it directly on my phone, and
working class voters. And I think what Sanders is doing is reconnecting the party, reframing the coalition so that it does have more of an economic populist message.
So Idaho.
Okay, so he's basically rehashing this idea that Donald Trump won so completely destroyed the Democrats when it came to the working class, that the Democrats have lost the working class. No, the Democrats have not lost the working class. No, that is not a truthful statement. So if you want to go look at the information on the election, this one article, it does say from the New Republic, Harris lost the very voter she needed the most. But how much did she actually lose? How much did she actually lose? In Tuesday's election, in the last election, not this past Tuesday, but obviously the last presidential election, 57% of voters are working class voters. Only 44% of them voted for Vice President Harris. 54% of them voted for Trump. Compared to 2020. Now, this article says, that's a lot worse than what Joe Biden did. What? A lot worse. Joe Biden won 47% of the working class vote against 51% who voted for Donald Trump. It's 3 percentage points of the 57% of the voters who voted in the last election. 3 percentage points. That's not a drastic swing. And again, as I said, it's not working class values that the Democrats are not touting, because the Democrats are the only ones that are pro-labor of the two major parties that are out there. The Democrats are the only one who stand up for the little guy, who stand up for the little women, little, non-binary folks, whomever they might be. It is not the Democrat. It's only the Democrats who are doing that. The Republicans are not going to look at it. The Republicans nominated somebody who, again, praised Elon Musk for, going after and busting up union organizers. That he didn't want unions in his shop, so he stopped the union from forming, in violation of federal law. But, I'm sorry. There we go.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. So yeah, the idea that the Democrats have somehow lost the working class, no. Yes, 4.5 or 44% of the working class voters, who make up 57% of the electorate, voted for Harris. Fewer voters than Biden. Sure, they lost a little bit. To make it into the fact that, the working class doesn't support the Democratic Party at all is just BS, and it feeds this false narrative that somehow, the working class is against gay rights, the working class is against trans rights, the working class is against, woke culture, or as Musk says, the woke mind virus, or whatever the hell he wants to call it. No. There is a large chunk of working class voters who voted for Democrats. There is a larger chunk of working class voters who did vote for Trump this last election, but the idea that it's because of the working class, because they're working class, is where they're missing the boat. Because I would argue that it's not because the Democrats have failed to talk to working class people and deal with the issues of working class America, like jobs. It's because you have people who are working class who are much like the people in any other class in this country. Those people, have a subset of them who are just racist and or sexist. The same people who didn't vote for Hillary Clinton probably didn't vote for Vice President Harris, and maybe a little more overlap than that. But let's see. Let's just see this as well. Let's see if the Pew Research Center has this information as well. I didn't think to look it up. No, it's not there. Got a nice ding there. Let's see how groups voted. Age, income. I don't know if working class counts as income or not, but if the working class is the 50 to 100%, 46 to 49. So, again, fewer people than voted for Biden, as a percentage at least, voted, working class folks voted for Clinton than Biden, but more of a percentage voted for Clinton than Harris. Again, because there's some sexism there, but there's also some racism there. The idea that the Democratic Party, now should we always do better? Should the Democrats always do better and strive to do better when it comes to, reaching out to the voters that we need to reach out to? Absolutely. And, perhaps we failed to do that a little bit. But I don't know how you reach out to people who are working class voters if they're racist or sexist and won't vote for a black woman, won't vote for a woman in general. If they won't do that, then how are you going to reach out to them? Those people are lost causes. And those people were not lost because of the working class environment. They were lost because of their bigotry. Anyway, what do you think? Agree, disagree? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel, and of course, unless you're a Nazi, have a good day. See anything I missed? Aaron is a liberal Danimal for 15 months. Thank you, Aaron, for your continued support. Jeff's talking about Uranus. You are absolutely correct, Jeff. Uranus has a mini golf course. They should name it the Putthole. Yes, that you are absolutely correct. Hey, Kevin, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Let's see. When he's in the hospital hooked up to machines, they should hold a lottery to the person who gets to pull the plug on him. That would raise so much money, the likes of which it would raise so much money, the likes of which you've never seen. Very well played there, Mad Mac. Let's see. Bees seem super confused lately coming into the house. I don't use any sense in house. That's weird. Of course, there's the whole Nicolas Cage bees. Let's see. Men who lost their balls in their voice and surrendered their integrity. All it takes for evil to flourish and for good men to do nothing. Exactly. Impeccable living is really high. Okay. I'm not there at the moment. I usually don't take any edibles before I do the show. Check the percentage of people that vote Democrat that also make $150,000 a year or more. I'd already closed all of this stuff. So, but again, the topic was simply the working class voters, and again, the false narrative pushed now by MSNBC. And again, MSNBC is not doing anybody any favors by the way they report on Donald Trump and Republicans and elections by saying that it's that we've lost the working class. No, we haven't lost the working class. It's shifted a few points. That's it. And the reason it shifted a few points has probably had nothing to do with them being working class. It had anything to do with them being bigoted. They talk about Trump and his bankruptcies. Trump's bankruptcies were not a matter of him being a bad business person. He may very well be a bad business person, but his bankruptcies are not an example of that. His bankruptcies are an example of him manipulating the bankruptcy system as a con man, con artist, etc., to bilk the businesses who gave him goods and services from having to pay the rest of those funds to those people. Simple as that. But they want to keep saying, and just like the whole thing, how he caved. He didn't cave on tariffs. It was all part of the plan. Chad Bostic, Democrats making the mistake of talking down to people instead of talking to people. Sure, could we do a better job of that? Perhaps. But I don't know how, again, that's sort of one of the things that, we kind of bring up, that kind of came up the last time. Is like, is it really that they're talking down to him? Or is it just that, they're talking about issues that perhaps the individuals might not have an understanding about and as such are going to have a knee-jerk reaction to go with the other guys? Or is it just the fact that they're racist bigots who are in the working class who are making up that difference or making up maybe more of the difference than, clearly there are some working class people who are always going to vote for Republicans because even though they're working class people that vote against their best interests, they will vote to support the millionaires and billionaire class, the ownership class, and that's just not a way to, protect yourself as a working class citizen in this country. So, So you shoot, may need to get some better protection on computer. What's the best defender for it? What do you mean? What are you trying to defend against? Wait, Yim Waltz for president? Walls for president, not Tim, but Yim. I guess that was a typo. The MSNBC CEO gives tons of money to Orange Puke's campaign. Of course he does. So Rachel Maddow calls him out. I follow on YouTube. I mean, good for Maddow. I have not had a problem with Maddow at all. So I've not seen her say or do anything that, you know, comes with my criticisms that have been coming recently about the media networks in general and MSNBC in particular. So, E, good to see you. We need a better job of showing them the wealth. You don't really care about them. All I gotta do is, you know, you should be able to show him what he does. Look at what happened with the tariffs. He doesn't give a rat's ass about y'all. But yet you're going to vote for him when all he's doing is manipulating the stock market. So, let's go ahead and close that. Oh, I was going to bring that up again later. Oh, well. Anyway, so let's bring up another background. See if there's anything else I've missed before I move on. Let's see. Evans, I know he has some cognitive loss and he already has very little cognitive function. Trump barely won. Exactly. He barely won. And, I mean, he did take a larger percentage of the people who are the working class. Whatever. But, so Evans, I have large muscles and using BMI, I'm obese. Oh, I'm absolutely obese when it comes to BMI, but I'm obese anyway, even though I've lost 100 pounds. But the, you know, I also have large, like, calf muscles, thigh muscles, etc., so that probably adds to some of it. I mean, if you looked at, you know, Mark McGuire back in the day, before he retired, before, I guess, the supplements he was taking was banned, and he quit when they banned the supplements. After that, you know, he was listed as obese by his BMI, despite the fact that he was just muscle. So, just overall protection, putting condoms on this computer every day is a workout. What are you using your computer for?
Oh my.
So let's see. I asked my dad and retired a USW member, why do union members vote against their self-interest? He couldn't answer. He is a liberal. I mean, because they're able to be hoodwinked into thinking that it's just, again, Lucy and the football. They think they're Charlie Brown. They think they're going to eventually hit the football, that this time they're going to make contact with the football and their feet, and they're never going to. But for some reason, they try every time, and it still fails. So, when will we stop viewing Donald Trump and these so-called mistakes as mistakes? When are we going to finally accept the fact that these are either actions that are being done purposefully and they're hiding behind the idea that it's a mistake, or that maybe they weren't intending on doing these certain things, but they're acting in such an irresponsible manner that it should count as criminal negligence at this point. They're acting in such an irresponsible manner. They are not measuring twice before cutting. They're not doing that. But if they continue doing that, and they continue, you know, seeking shortcuts, they continue cutting corners, they continue just, you know, trying to swat flies with a mallet, all the other different sort of metaphors that you might use, cliches that you might use to try and discuss how Donald Trump and his administration is treating everything that they're doing. But after such a long time, you have to then finally just say, look, this is willful actions on the part of the administration that is causing these mistakes to happen, which means to me they're morally not mistakes. There's no moral difference between somebody who, you know, gets in a car and drives somebody over while sober, you know, purposefully, or who gets in the car, drunk and run somebody over, not purposefully, but they're still ran over. It's still a decision that you made. You made a decision to drink and drive. It causes somebody to pass away because you hit them. No moral difference to me than the people who would, target people in a crowd like they did up in Wisconsin, like the one guy did up in Wisconsin. So, again, this is willful disregard to the rule of law. This is willful disregard to the public safety of individuals who should not have these situations taking place. And I also just don't get why they won't return him. Why won't they return Garcia? I mean, was Trump an idiot? Did he pay everything up front? Did he say, did he finally, for once in his life, fully pay for something ahead of time without having to, without making sure that the thing got completed? I mean, the one time in his life, if that's true, if this actually happened this way, the one time in his life where he actually pays somebody completely, and it would be the stupid move for him to do. The cost to incarcerate, like $4 million is the cost to incarcerate 300 people in El Salvador for a year. Now, Trump is saying that he can't do anything unless Bukele agrees to it. And that makes Donald Trump look especially weak. Aren't we the ones paying them? It's our tax dollars that are going to this El Salvadorian prison. Don't they want our money? If they wanted our money, and they want to continue having our money, this is not to say that I agree with what Donald Trump is doing. I clearly don't. It's ridiculous that he's utilizing El Salvadorian prisons. It's absurd. In no way should that be allowed. But if the people in El Salvador, the government in El Salvador wants the United States taxpayer dollars, Donald Trump has the position to be like, look, we're not going to buy any more of your services. We're not going to take advantage of any of your facilities if you don't return this guy. But oh no, we can't. We can't do this. We can't. Attorney General Pam Bondi said it's up to El Salvador's leaders to decide if they want to return him. And the Supreme Court ordered 9-0 that they had to facilitate his travel home. But that also should mean that they also have to take actions to make sure that it's known that they're going to send a plane and that he damn well be at the airport when the plane gets there, or they'll be held to pay, as opposed to Donald Trump's hair, which is a hell to pay. Donald Trump. How can I return him to the United States? Am I going to smuggle him? Of course. Oh, wait, that was Bukele. How am I going to return him to the United States? Am I going to smuggle him? Of course, I'm not going to do it. The question is preposterous, says Bukele. But yeah, so the Supreme Court said the Trump administration has to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to the United States. President deferred to his top administration officials, including Attorney General Pam Bondi, Stephen Miller, and Marco Rubio, to field questions about the administration's intentions and what appeared to be an orchestrated effort to deliver a forceful, consistent response. Bondi, sitting near Trump, said it's up to El Salvador to decide if they want to return him. It's not up to us. Why isn't it up to us? It'd be like saying, we can't get somebody out of a private prison here on our territory because it's a private prison. And it's up to the warden to return. No. If we're giving them money for this horrible thing, they should, feel it necessary to comply with any order that we give them pertaining to the people that we have deported to them. And if it turns out that we deported somebody incorrectly, then they should be more than willing to return that person back. Hell, if Donald Trump was stupid enough to prepay the entire cost of the 300 people and pay the $4 million up front, then the El Salvadorian president should be more than happy to return him. Be like, look, you paid for it, so we're not returning your money, but we'll send you the guy back. So here's the thing. It's not just this case, though. It is not just this individual. U.S.-born attorney says she was told immediately to self-deport in a DHS email. She was told, it's time for you to leave the United States, sent to Nicole Micharoni, who is questioning how many others have been inappropriately sent that email to. A Massachusetts-born immigration attorney is questioning how many people are being wrongly instructed by the federal government to self-deport after she says she received an email from the Department of Homeland Security telling her to leave the U.S. immediately because her, quote, parole was terminated. She is a United States citizen, not naturalized either. She is a natural-born citizen. Now, do we believe that this was a mistake? No. Again, this is either them specifically targeting her because of her position, because of what she does for her profession. However, because she's, I think, an immigration attorney, it's either that or, again, if they're not specifically targeting her, they just don't care to double check, to dot all their I's, to cross all their T's, to measure twice before cutting once. They don't give a rat's ass. They're more than happy to just throw babies out with bathwater. They're more than happy to have people get deported without checks and balances. And what did I say on this show? A long, long time ago. It seems like it's a long time ago, at least. I've said for a while now that Donald Trump, once he realizes that, these three branches of government, talk to each other, listen to each other, and, follow the checks and balances that the Constitution requires. It's a tradition that we have. I mean, some might say it's the law, but it's also, we have a tradition where, sometimes they break the rules or whatever. But like when Joe Biden, again, was president, and he wanted to stop spending money on the wall. The court said, hey, this is appropriated funds. You can't not spend the money. You have to spend the money. And so he continued to spend the money because he was told by the judicial branch he has to do so. The moment that Donald Trump realized, and this has been my concern for a very long time now, the moment he realizes that what's going to happen, how is he going to be forced to listen to the courts? The moment he realizes that, we now have a constitutional crisis. And I think if we're not in that already, we are heading there. We are heading to the constitutional crisis. Especially because this little tidbit.
Demanded the people wanted to change everything, and they wanted to. They demanded, they love you, they love what you do. I'm not here supporting. I want them to do, for homegrown criminals next. Yeah. I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrown's built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's fair. All right.
He's gonna have to build 5 more locations because Donald Trump wants to send our homegrown criminals there. Now he's talking about absolutely. This is not a mistake anymore. He wants to deport American citizens who are criminals to El Salvador, to El Salvadorian labor camps. Tell me where that's happened before. Oh, I'm crazy for sitting here and being concerned over the fact that Donald Trump is doing things like Adolf Hitler did. Now he's wanting to jail people in like labor camps, labor prisons in other countries. And before you say, well, Hitler didn't do it. Well, Hitler had concentration camps all over the place in Europe. Outside of Germany, too. I mean, it was the other territory was controlled by Germany, but it was still, Poland and other areas. Like, what is it going to take for these people to understand that what's going on is not normal, it's not okay? Or have they just doubled down on 12 so much that they're going to keep doubling down on 12, they're going to keep supporting this guy, because either they're Nazis themselves or they don't want to admit that they were wrong. which is a moral failing of conservatism as a whole. And of course, what else do we have here? We have, it's not the right one. ICE director envisions Amazon-like mass deportation system, Amazon Prime, but with human beings. Trump immigration officials tout expanding the Alien Enemies Act while courting private contractors for mass removals. Leader of ICE says that his dream for the agency is squads of trucks rounding up immigrants for deportation the same way that Amazon trucks crisscross American cities delivering packages. We need to get better at treating this like a business. The fuck you do. Again, this is what I've said last show too. Government doesn't always need to be efficient. Government needs to have checks and balances on itself. Government needs to be able to say, hey, cross your T's, dot your I's, measure twice before you cut, to make sure that the people you are deporting are the people that you're supposed to be deporting. I'm not saying that you can't deport anybody. That would be silly. Clearly, there are people who should be deported. But clearly, Donald Trump doesn't give a rat's ass if anybody else gets scooped up in all that. To him, it's a feature, not a bug. To him, he'll probably use this as an example just to get rid of people who are political enemies and just be like, oh, it was just a mistake. It was just a mistake. I didn't mean to do, any of this. This is just a mistake. No, it's not. Because again, either you're purposefully targeting these people and you're scooping them up along with the rest in a purposeful way, or you're acting in a way that's purposefully irresponsible. You're being purposely irresponsible, and as such, you should be held responsible for those things that happen as you're being personally responsible for them. Simple as that. But, of course, he's not going to view it that way. But the idea that we should be having trucks of people, trucks holding people, carrying people across the country to wherever they might end up, might as well just put them on trains, huh? Oh, but I'm ridiculous to the people who think that I'm ridiculous for all this because, hey, why would I fear that? I mean, we're not in 1945. There's not concentration camps in this country yet. No, I just don't want there to be any. So we're raising the alarms now. Now, back during Trump's first term, I used to talk about, what happened in Egypt. And be like, eventually, the Egyptian military made sure that a tyrant didn't retain power. That it was a unfair election or whatever, and that that tyrant, was going to retain power. The military stepped up, did the right thing, stopped him from taking power, from keeping power or whatever, and then let the people have their say. Now, in the first term, I was kind of hinting, wink, wink, nudge, nudge at the military, being like, military, if something happens like this over here, you're going to need to step up and do the right thing because that's the only way that we'll be protected from the tyranny of these people. Once Donald Trump stops obeying orders from the courts, it's the time for that to happen. And he's already starting to do that. Patriotic people who love this country, who took an oath to the Constitution and not to Donald Trump, need to stand up and say, this is enough. Enough is enough. The only way to stop a lawless president is for the military to step in and say, stop it. You are destroying this country. You are a criminal president with no regard for the rule of law whatsoever. How else is it going to happen? The Republicans aren't going to, do anything in the House, even if the Democrats retake the House in, next year, or 2017 or 2027. Is when they might actually be sworn in. But even if they retook the House, they wouldn't have enough votes in the Senate to convict on articles of impeachment. So how do you remove a lawless president who acts like a dictator, has declared himself king. How do you deal with that? You have to deal with it in a way that, you deal with all despots. The patriotic, loving Americans who serve in this military are going to have to do the right thing. Do I think that they will? I hope that they will. Because that may very well be the only way that we salvage this country. Because if he's emboldened by the fact that the court rulings don't mean crap to him, he's just going to do whatever the hell he wants. And nothing will stand in his way unless people specifically get up in his way and stand in his way. What do you think? Agree with me, disagree with me? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel. Unless you're a Nazi or continuing to support this traitor president, which I don't see the moral difference between the two, have a good day. Lisa Green, can you say constitutional crisis? I did. I said it a few minutes ago. I don't. Maybe you missed it. I don't know. Let's go back through the comments. Good to see you, Lisa Green. Thank you for joining the show. Hey, Terry Taylor as well. Good to see you too. See, I'm from Massachusetts. Intentional. I mean, that's what I think. But again, if I don't give like the possibility that it might be one or the other, then people are gonna be like, "Oh, you don't know." So I have to kind of give both possibilities. Both possibilities suck because again, either he's choosing to target people, or he's choosing to not, pay attention to the rule of law. Either way, it's bad either way. See, Terry Taylor, my Senator Chris Van Hollen is going to El Salvador to demand he be released and returned. Are we going to see Senator Chris Van Hollen again? I mean, like, who's to say what's going to happen when he gets there? Maybe he goes to the prison. Maybe they keep him in the prison. Am I being silly? I don't know. Was I silly all the other times that I was right about Donald Trump? It's nuts. Stan Morgan says, it's insanity. Let's see. When I'm watching the meeting between the two, it was clear to see they both talked beforehand about this and agreed to say neither one could be forced to do it. He sees it as an 80-20 issue, in my opinion. Yeah, but on an 80-20 issue, many things in Nazi Germany were an 80-20 issue as well, where 80% or only 20% of the people cared or whatever, and 80% didn't, or 80% of the people are, hey, supportive. Sometimes the 80%'s wrong, and you have to not listen to the 80%. Because, as they said, we have, they always say, we don't live in a democracy, we live in a republic. We live in a democratically elected, representative republic, yes. But part of that includes, democracy is, two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. Republic allows for veto power for the sheep. So, let's see. Hey, Mac, you don't want to be aggressive to Foreign Legion, bro. They don't have tanks, just those funky hats, and they march over sand dunes in the Sahara Desert. Trump thinks nobody will care, and I think people will. I even got Jeff Carrera to admit that these are mistakes that are being happened. I mean, granted, I don't think they're mistakes anymore, but, I even got him, but he still doesn't care about it because it is, well, what about Biden stuff? What about all the harm Biden did? Doesn't make a difference what Biden did. Whatever you think about what Biden did, it doesn't justify the terrible actions, the lawlessness of this president. Trump only likes strong men, or what he thinks are strong men. He could have deported them to a better country. I mean, he shouldn't have deported some of these people at all. That's the point. Let's see. Rice and beans. Beans and rice just had homemade vegetarian tamales. Interesting. I don't think I've had a vegetarian. Let's see. His statement, who will be sent, was very racialized. True. Very true. I'm sorry, Christina, that you left. Sorry. He referenced the knockout game. Lovely. So Hitler wanted to ship the Jews to Madagascar before deciding to kill them. See? Again, Donald Trump loves him some Adolf. See, the hate oozes from every pore of the human skin suits. Yes. The Musk is privatizing SSI at 3% of $1 trillion. The annual SSI budget is $30 billion. That's why a felon wants to control SSI. Of course, because he'll get that money, and it'll help him get even closer to him being the world's first trillionaire, which I think Donald Trump is going to want to do. So this is literal final solution stuff. It is. I'm surprised he doesn't come out with his next book, My Struggle. So Terry Taylor case SCOTUS what now? But again, what can SCOTUS do? Can they hold him in contempt? I mean, they can't hold him in criminal contempt because you can't be brought up on charges as a crime. They can't subpoena the stuff from the administration, from the communications. Why? Because that was ruled to be privileged by this activist conservative Supreme Court. Yes, Lisa Green. Obama was called the deporter-in-chief. Yes, La Raza called him the deporter-in-chief. And he did deport a lot of people. But show me where he deported somebody who shouldn't have been deported, and that's the point. Chad goes, here we go. Actually, this deserves its own video. This deserves this video, too. Chad in the chat goes, innocent people all across this country go to prison every day, even with due process in the world. Nothing is 100%. No, nothing is 100%. That's accurate. That's correct. And that's why you have groups like the Innocence Project to be able to challenge these people's, convictions and try and get them out of prison whenever possible. But weren't we founded on the idea that it is better for 100 guilty people to go free than one innocent person going to prison? And when you have an innocent person, you find an innocent person in prison, you should make sure that person is released from prison. You shouldn't duck behind loopholes or make excuses about the whole thing. It's your moral imperative. It should be the moral imperative of anybody who's an elected official. Whether you're a DA, whether you are the president, whether you're the head of the Justice Department, I don't care what your position is. If you have any role in the pursuit of justice, I'll use that in quotes in this administration, if you have any role in that, you have a moral imperative that if you find out that if somebody is locked up illegally against the law, that they shouldn't be there and they are, then you have the moral imperative to fix it. And they're not fixing it. They're not doing anything. And I'd say, Chad, but you voted for him. When are you going to stop voting for him? When are you going to stop supporting him? When are you going to be like, you know what? I was wrong with my vote. How many more mistakes will it take for you to admit that you were wrong with your vote? That's not just for Chad. That's for any of you MAGA folks out there. Any of y'all people who voted for Donald Trump and are not already regretting your decision. And there are people who are regretting their decisions because they didn't realize what the hell would happen to them once Donald Trump got into office. I mean, we tried to tell them, but they don't listen. So, what will it take? How many innocent people need to be shipped off to an El Salvadorian labor prison camp or whatever before you're like, you know what, Donald Trump needs to be stopped? How many more? 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 100, 500? How many is too many? Because one should be too many. And that's why we should have the system of checks and balances protected in this country. But this president doesn't give a rat's ass about checks and balances because he doesn't think he should have any checks on his power. He thinks he should have unlimited power. Wanted to be dictator on day one. And why that wasn't enough for people to reject him, I don't know why. Again, I do know why. Racism, sexism, bigotry, etc. Not saying that every single one of y'all is, but a good portion of the people are racist, bigots, etc. And we're more than happy to vote for Donald Trump because they were afraid of the alternative or whatever. But anyway, again, better for 100 guilty men to go free than one innocent person be locked up. That's the goal. That's what we should strive for. We are nowhere near that right now under Donald Trump and this administration. which, again, is a constitutional crisis in and of itself. Because if he's not going to listen to the courts, we're screwed. We are totally 100% screwed. Chad goes, he shut the border down. Says who? Why would you believe any word that this administration says? And you haven't been listening to Liberal Dan Radio talk from the left, that's right, enough. You need to come back more often. Because just like when he said in Tulsa about COVID, he wanted to stop the testing. Because when you have more testing, you have more cases, which is stupid. Anybody who believes that is dumb. The cases already exist. Testing just reveals the cases, which means that he didn't want people knowing how many people had COVID because he thought it would affect him in the election. He didn't want people to be able to say COVID is skyrocketing during this election, so let's stop testing so people can't know it. His graphic that we shared on this show a few weeks back said that encounters were down. What does that mean, encounters are down? Encounters can be down for multiple reasons. It could be down because less people are crossing the border, or they could be down because he doesn't want people to know the numbers, so he's going to reduce the amount of encounters that happens artificially. And when you have an administration that lies about transgender mice and condoms to Hamas, whatever other BS he talked about, at what point do you stop trusting anything that this administration says? How many more lies does this administration have to say before you nothing he says is believable? I have no reason to believe that encounters are down. I have no reason to believe that the amount of people crossing the border is down. None whatsoever. It's easy as that. Anyway, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel. Of course, unless you're a Nazi, have a good day. So, yeah. Let's scroll back, see what I missed. Hey, 5 Eggs is here. Good to see you, 5 Eggs. What's the price of 5 eggs today? See, I've been concerned about what would happen if he ignored all court jury decisions and did just what he wanted. How would they enforce the judge's democracy work when people follow the rules? Exactly. And he's not going to follow the rules, which again creates the constitutional crisis. I don't think I said hello to One Vision, so hello, One Vision. Good to see you. Let's see, 80% is easy if it's deportation of an illegal immigrant. If if you're deporting somebody who's undocumented and shouldn't be here, then yeah, nobody's gonna disagree with that. If he made sure that the people were not supposed to be here, and they've done their asylum claims, etc. If you freaking Alexa. If, I even lost my train of thought because of the damn Alexa thing. If you, legal immigrants, people who are here, undocumented migrants, if they're here and are declaring asylum, they should get their asylum hearing. And if they don't meet the requirements for asylum, then sure, by all means, deport away. I mean, I don't agree with it, but at least there's a place there for you to hang your hat. There's a place there for you to sit there and say, hey, this is what you voted for, right? This is what the people voted for, and I'm hoping it's happening to the people whose family members voted for this first, right? But how many innocents have to be deported? How many people who shouldn't be deported need to be deported for you to change your mind? It's an answer I can't get from any MAGA. Yes, Lisa, well-regulated deportation is necessary. It needs to be well-regulated. That's the point. It needs to be well-regulated. Let's see. I hate the 100% argument. We know people are not perfect, but just because we are not does not mean you don't strive to be as good as possible. Well, okay, but you need to strive towards the 100%. Trump is not striving towards anything. He doesn't care. As long as he deports the people he wants to deport, he doesn't care who else gets swept up in it, especially if those people are also people that don't like him. Welcome back, Fancy. I said the court ordered that Garcia specifically not be deported to El Salvador, so Trump deports him to El Salvador. That's certainly a judicial crisis. Yes, judicial crisis, constitutional crisis, etc. Chad, I wasn't wrong with your vote. That's not what I'm asking you, though. I mean, Chad, I understand that Chad is not officially MAGA. Even though, I mean, and also his vote doesn't count because he lives in Illinois and I live in Louisiana. Neither votes count. But he's still better than Kamala, hands down. Hands down what? Hands down Putin's pants? He might very well be better at putting his hands down Putin's pants than Vice President Harris would have been. But by no metric, there's no metric that I can judge. Vice President Harris would not have manipulated the stock market like Donald Trump clearly did when he said, hey, now's a great time to buy, and then a few hours later reduces the tariffs. Market manipulation. Vice President Harris wouldn't have done that. Vice President Harris may very well. I mean, look, I criticized Harris back in 2020 for one of the people that was trying to file a writ of habeas corpus, and her office was fighting it. Her office was fighting his release, even though a judge ruled the person factually innocent of the crimes accused of him. And she fought it. And I was openly critical of her. That's why I didn't want her to be the Democratic nominee in 2020. That being said, even though I was opposed to her in 2020, to being the presidential candidate, to be the nominee of the Democratic Party, I still said I'd vote for her over Trump because, voting for somebody who gets it wrong some of the time versus voting for a frickin' Nazi. Again, so my question to you is, how much will it take? How much will it take for you to say, or are you just saying there's no way that if I got deported because I'm stating that the military should step in and remove Donald Trump from power, if I got deported as a political enemy, would you say Donald Trump went too far? Simple question. What if it happened to somebody that you love, you care about, one of your family members? Would that be enough for you to say, you know what, I give up on Donald Trump now? And why would you need it to be? Why do you need to have it? Why would you then need it to happen to somebody who you do know, as opposed to somebody you don't know? Because empathy requires that you care about all people. Lisa Gray, they also blame the largest voting bloc, the non-voters. Very true. And then, of course, they need to earn our vote. F no. There's more important things than having your little, whiny, not you, Lisa, but the voters who say, you need to earn my vote. Yeah, shut up. Let's see. Serious Stockton will declare martial law on the 20th of April. If so, he becomes the ultimate king and is legal for citizens to have guns. Dictators always take away citizens' guns. Always. Yeah, Hitler did that. Especially to the Jews. But I'm silly. Fancy. It's a hot wings kind of night to me. I wish I had better hot wings in New Orleans. I mean, the one place that I take my writing class actually has decent hot wings. I wish there were more hot wing options in New Orleans other than B-dubs. Progressively Independent America is going to sink, but at least you can all share the same boat. Woohoo! Yay! Same boat. I don't want to be on their boat. Yeah. I don't want to be on the boat with the MAGA idiots. Probate court today over Uncle's Blood. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. It says the border crossing numbers. Chad. Who controls the border crossing numbers? Who controls where ICE operates? Who controls where Border Patrol operates? Who sets those policies? It's Donald Trump. Donald Trump sets those policies. If Donald Trump says, like he did with COVID, I don't want people seeing the numbers, then they're going to follow his orders. And they're going to make sure that the encounters are down. So it looks like the encounters are down. That doesn't mean that the amount of people crossing the borders are down. But, I mean, snake oil salesmen are going to fool plenty of people all the damn time. So, Let's see. I scrolled too far. Let's see, 5 Eggs been following Jesse Wells. He's like Bob Dylan reincarnated. I thought that was his son. I thought his son was like, because there's a couple songs where Jacob Dylan sounds exactly like Bob Dylan. Of course, I was almost named Dylan Zimmerman because Bob Dylan's name was Robert Zimmerman. So because he was Robert Zimmerman, my last name is Zimmerman, I was almost named Dylan Zimmerman. So, but of course, there's he looks just like a woman, but she's only a little girl. Anyway, scroll on back up because I don't want to miss anything. Just letting folks know I support my president, not 100%, but 80%. Again, my question is, what's it going to take for you to get to 0? What will it take for you to get to 0, to say, I fucked up? Are you going to have to watch the people go to camps? Like, are there going to have to be people lined up going into concentration camps for you to be like, yep, I fucked up. Sorry, Dan. Sorry to Dan's family. All of you as you line up to go into the gas chambers. Sorry. My bad. Mea culpa. Because again, when we say that Donald Trump's a Nazi, we're not saying that he's a 1944 Nazi. We're saying he's a 1933 Nazi. And we want to stop him from getting to 1944. We want to stop the creation of camps, even though he's already shipping people off to El Salvadorian camps. Because El Salvador is going to be part of the axis of evil. El Salvador, United States of America, what, North Korea and Russia? Is that going to be axis of evil? So, if Donald Trump declares martial law, how soon before he just hands the keys to Putin, right? See, Chad Bostic, Easy E says, I support some of what Trump wants, but I don't like him and would never vote for him. Well, I've said in this show the other day that I agreed with 1 or 2 things that he did during the first term. Again, doesn't mean I want to vote for him, because, the people I voted for would do more of what he did in that first term. Like, instead of just giving EpiPens and, or providing EpiPens and insulin pens at discounted rates for a very few Americans, he could do it for everybody. But, see, does anyone remember when Donald was completely wrong about the Central Park 5? He's a racist through and through. Of course he is. There's many examples of him being a racist. And of course, the MAGA supporters like, how is he a racist? They'll deny that he's an anti-Semite, even though he was at a conference on anti-Semitism saying that Jews would be to blame if he loses. Scapegoating all Jews for a political loss is clearly anti-Semitic. Oh, but his daughter converted. So? There are Jews who supported Adolf Hitler's rise to power, thinking that all of the fears about Hitler were overblown, and that even if they were, they would be the good ones that would be protected. Sorry, wrong. You lose. Hope those are the people who were shipped off to the camps first. Stephen Sayers, I have no common ground with a fascist. Exactly. If you want an exotic animal, you need over 1,000 documented hours working with that animal. You must take test approval. Where'd that come from? I must have missed something in the chat. Let's see. Harris would have also made moves to stabilize the economy further. The economy was stable under Biden. Yes. Wait, have I missed Steve? I don't see Steve in the chat, but someone said Highlander. Am I just missing it? I have on live chat. It's not on gold or whatever. Fancy, thank you for becoming a liberal Danimal. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Or for being a liberal Danimal, I should say. Lisa, I would have voted for a hamster over Trump. Chad, yes. What's too far? What would be too far? The camps? Again. But how many, so let's kind of roll backwards then. So what scenarios could you envision yourself being, this is too much. This is too much. See, Mad Mac, there's no redeeming value of anything Orange Man says. He lives in a fantasy world, does things by the seat of his pants without putting any thought into it. He has no policies for Americans. True. I wouldn't vote Trump over a mosquito. True. Let's see, Trump already got the votes. He can care less. I'm thinking he couldn't care less. He can care less what his supporters think. Of course. He already got elected. He's not going to care. Goebbels was Jewish, I think. Hitler may have been Jewish. Stephen Miller is Jewish. I've heard the rumor that Hitler may be. I don't know if Goebbels was or not. So weak-minded people, Mad Max says, that voted for Orange cannot admit they were wrong. They will defend him and expect him to say he was wrong, which will never happen, unbelievably, and intelligent people are too afraid. Yep. It's funny, but I've never sat around obsessing on the border. This is a made-up controversy by the right-wing nut jobs. Just like, trans athletes are a made-up controversy by the right-wing nut jobs, because they know they can put the fear, because there's this people, they're an invading force coming across the border, we better take action. Oh no, the Democrats are having a wide open border, even though Biden stopped more fentanyl than Trump ever did, and the Republicans took that as a negative, like, fentanyl is across the border, and we know that because Biden stopped it. He did his job. Maybe Trump wasn't doing his job. Maybe fentanyl did cross the border more during the Trump administrations. And he doesn't give a crap. Because if nobody sees it, it doesn't matter to Trump. So you haven't seen Steve tonight. True. Doesn't matter now. Kamala's living her best life and has the money to go anywhere. Everyone else is stuck under Trump. Unfortunately, that's true. See, if he took away Social Security or deported a U.S. citizen, I'd be done with him. So what about the threat to deport a U.S. citizen? What about the fact that he wants to deport people who are criminals, and it said that he wants El Salvador to build 5 more prisons? Is that not enough? Does he have to actually do it? Or why isn't saying it enough? Why do we have to wait for him to do the things that he says that he wants to do? That's that thing I don't understand. That's my disconnect here. We shouldn't have to wait. Just like the whole when he said in the 2016 campaign, Donald Trump clearly stated that he wanted to put a total and complete ban of Muslims entering this country. Total and complete. Now, of course, idiots are like, oh, well, he didn't implement that. That wasn't what the executive order said. No, but why does that matter? He's already told us what he wants. Why should we wait for him to actually do it before raising alarm bells? We should be raising the alarm bells now. So, yeah, Garcia was legally here, and was deported. What's this? Biden handed Trump an economy that was fantastic. Yes, he did. Things are messed up since Trump came back. Yes, they are. See, there was this guy named John Kennedy. He tried to shut down the FBI, CIA, pull out of Vietnam, and all of a sudden he got his head blown off. Trump thinks he's king. This stuff will end. That way is who, I guess is what you're saying? Maybe. I mean, again, I'm not advocating for that. I'm just advocating for the military to come arrest him for being lawless, because he's a lawless felon. He's a lawless president who has no respect for the rule of law in this country. I keep scrolling. There we go. I've been on different forums. I speak to others in different countries. Things they have in common is they don't want to see Americans in their countries. I don't blame them. Anyone know what Tommy from Dude is doing? Right this very second? No. I don't know. Or just in general. Has he not been on? See, not enough. He has to do it because he says a lot of dumb shit, honestly. Well, maybe that's the reason to not elect somebody who says that much dumb shit shouldn't be president in the first place. But, these people act in such a, they basically are like, he can say all the dumb shit he wants, and then, we shouldn't have to wait for it to happen. We should put a squash on it now. Let's see. Dean, my family's been in America since 1680. You think that would stop Trump from deporting me if I've crossed him? Of course not. Fancy. I worry about that little gay barber guy that they took. Yeah, there was a video of him, crying as they were shaving his head. Again, somebody who was here legally, should not have been deported, but was. Even frickin' Joe Rogan understands how wrong it is. Joe Rogan even used my line, measure twice, cut once. So it was either him or... I'm not asking you why you voted for him. I'm asking you what would take for you to stop actually supporting him. To come out and say, Donald Trump, the military should come in and remove Donald Trump from office because he's a lawless president. What would that take? Right? What would that take? Clearly hasn't happened yet. Yeah, they're going in schools to deport children. Children should never be the target whatsoever. That's an interesting story. Let's see. Do I have a background on this or no? I don't think I do. I do not. So we'll just go back to the main show image. All right. It's an interesting thing. I'm always interested in how people get access to the news. Like, I'm always wondering how people get access to, like, to get interviewed by the people in the media. And it seems to me that a lot of times they go back to the same people over and over and over again. So D.B. Golding, it's the court's responsibility to mete out punishment, not POTUS. Trump is a Timu Nazi borrowed from Hal. But he's still a Nazi. At least Hal admits that he's a Nazi, which other people are not doing. Send U.S. Marshals under order of the courts to retrieve Garcia, says 250 kilo ohms on Twitch. Problem is, U.S. Marshals are controlled by who? They're controlled by the Justice Department. Pam Bondi will not allow them to do that. There are only 4 more years to go. Great. Hopefully less. Hopefully fewer. When he deports a U.S. citizen, basically, otherwise impeach him. Who's going to impeach? Do you think this House of Representatives is going to do anything? No, they're just carrying the water for him. John Death, exactly. His stock market manipulation should get him arrested. So anyway, there was a in the people finding out section of Liberal Dan Radio Talk from Left, That's Right. I found this. While looking up this one individual, I looked up his name, and I found an article from August 1st, 2013. So, like, long time ago. long time ago, in a galaxy far away. Sorry, no. Naboo was under an attack. So anyway, so August 1st, 2013, Aiden Farm, Parrishville, New York. Project, Archie Green Fellowship, Dairy Farm Workers in Northern New York. Interviewer, Varik Chittenden. Interviewees, Adrian Gilbert and grandson Nick Gilbert. Nick is the son of Tony Gilbert, brother to Andy Gilbert, interviewed for this project. Adrian is the mother of Tony and Andy Gilbert. And so they just had this long, it's a 21-page, text that spells out the interview. And I'm not going to read it all. I'm probably not going to read any of it. But here's the thing. This same person was interviewed by Annie Lowrey from The Atlantic. And, let's see. So again, Nicholas Gilbert received a delivery of grain for the 1,400 cows he tends at his dairy farm in Potsdam, New York, 20 miles from the Ontario border. The feed came with a surprise tariff of $2,200 tacked onto it at the end. What did Gilbert say? Gilbert cannot, or at least according to Annie Lowrey, Gilbert, he cannot increase the price of milk that he sells because he sells the milk that he produces at a local co-op. So he's stuck when it comes to the price of the milk. He cannot feed his cows less food. He cannot buy feed from another supplier. There aren't any nearby. Getting it from further away would be more expensive. When he got the delivery, he stared at the tariff for a while, saying, shouldn't his Canadian supplier have been responsible for paying it? I'm not even sure it's legal. We contracted for the price on delivery. If your price of fuel goes up or your truck breaks down, that's not my problem. That's what the contracts are for. You voted probably for a president who doesn't give a rat's ass about contracts to begin with. But guess what? You effed around and now you're in the find out stage. Because now he is one of tens of thousands of American business owners caught in a spiraling trade war, He lives in one area of the United States that might already be tipping into recession because of it. Businesses near the Canadian border are particularly vulnerable to the rising costs and falling revenue caused by tariffs and are delaying projects, holding off hiring, raising prices, letting workers go, or wondering how they're going to keep feeding their cows as a result. According to Lowry, let's see, the author of the article, Trump's tariffs are capricious, haphazard, and weird. They take into account only trading goods, not services. They apply to nations that have long-standing free trade agreements with Washington, countries that have trade surpluses with the U.S., and unpopulated islands. The nonsensical policy would nevertheless have real effects. Thousands of American firms, mostly small businesses, will go under. The United States risks collapsing into an astonishing voluntary recession caused solely by a few powerful ideologues' erroneous belief about trade. If you want to understand where the American economy is heading, head to the border. And not the Mexican border, the Canadian border. Donald Trump's tariffs have screwed over. And this is a different situation than normal. Because normally we would say that that cost would be passed on to the consumers, the people buying that milk. Right? Normally that's what would happen. However, he has an agreement with the co-op, so he has to charge the rates that they tell him that he has to charge. So, what's he going to do? He's screwed. And why is he screwed? Because Donald Trump set these ridiculous, asinine tariffs. Find out phase in full effect, everyone. What do you think? Do you agree with these tariffs still? Do you think that, we're going to head into a recession because of this? Leave your comments down below. Like, comment, share. Of course, unless you're a Nazi or continue to support these tariffs, have a good day. See, the Wall Street Journal said they were not a good idea. A lot of people said that they were not a good idea, but, Donald Trump would just ridicule them for opposing him. Because how dare they oppose him, right? Tim's here. Hey, Tim, good to see you. Big hook, Chad, you actually think Republicans are capable of doing the right thing? Of course they're not. If they were capable of doing the right thing, they would have, not voted for Trump. I think I got it right this time. Look at that. I changed the image properly, and we are going to go ahead and turn off the Do Not Disturb, so we are now receiving calls. So, if you want to call in and leave your 2 cents, 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. Once the image disappears, it means we already have a caller, so therefore don't call in until after the first caller finishes. But I'm sure, there are people who have things to say, and we will give them the opportunity to say it. I do have to end the show maybe a little bit earlier than normal. I did finish my taxes last night, but I still have to do my mother-in-law's taxes because I have to file her last one. Even though she passed away, I still have to file the last one. And I'm the one who has to do it. So that's one thing on top of, several things that I have to do tonight. So let's see. Oh, spam over on Twitch. Huzzah. Love the spam. Thanks for helping the algorithm, I guess, whoever you are. Somebody on YouTube said that I should shave my neck beard. Like, I don't think I have a neck beard. Like, I mean, I've got a few days now, but when I did the show on Wednesday, I don't think I had a neck beard. Like, some people need vision. We need better vision care in this country, apparently, because he needs glasses. Let's see. Canada, because we have fully funded social programs, including free healthcare, are well prepared to outlast Trump. Unfortunately, we don't. And I'm only going to give the phone call a few more minutes, because if nobody calls, I will end the show earlier. Anyone want to scream at Dan? I was fully expecting you, Big Hook, to call it and leave your 2 cents about Chad. So that's how I was expecting first. Because I think I've said my piece on him, on that topic, as to why you would still support this asshole president. But, you're more than welcome to do so. You can grab dibs if you wish. Did we also have a negative quarter in GDP growth? Let's see. GDP growth per quarter. Fourth quarter of 2024, we had an increased GDP of 2.4%. I don't know what the year-to-date is or what last quarter's was. U.S. real GDP growth by quarter. Let's see. Sure, why not? Whatever. Well, we're still showing positive, but that's the end. That's quarter 3 of 2024. That is not this quarter. So I guess we'd have to get data from some other location. Thing went down for the first quarter. Might have been negative, but it's not great. Well, of course, it's not great. I mean, the economy's struggling as it is. I mean, the wealthy people aren't getting wealthier. The poor citizens, our farmers, live ration to ration while Wall Street robs them blind in search of chips to cash in. This prick is asking for somebody to bring him his task. Somebody give me some dirt on his vacuous mask so I can at last unmask him. I'm not going to say the next part of the Hamilton line because that could get me in trouble. We're all watching. He had Washington in his pocket. It must be nice. It must be nice to have a Washington on your side. It must be nice. It must be nice to have Washington on your side. Let's accept the phone call because we do have Big Hook calling in. There you go, Big Hook. You just saved everyone from my singing.
Well, I figured if I don't, they will scream at me later on. But I think you guys, whether you realize it or not,
we're fucked.
Well, yeah, that too, but I think you guys are possibly going to head towards a civil war. Because at this point, I don't see... I mean, once he starts grabbing, regular citizens and putting them down in El Salvador, things are going to get out of hand. Unless the military steps in and then basically forcibly puts him out on his ass and says, and you guys basically have, a special election because this is, things cannot stand as they are. I don't know where else to go with this thing because at this point, violence is getting more and more probable. And the thing is that, I mean, we're already seeing it. Josh Shapiro just had an attempt on him. And I think the other day there was...
I can't believe I forgot to bring that up. I was going to bring that up, and I had a whole bunch of notes, and I completely forgot to mark it. Yeah, I mean, who in their right mind is going to look at the Josh Shapiro thing and think, oh, that had nothing to do with his religion? Like, clearly. Yeah. I mean, it was the first night of Passover. They waited till the first night of Passover? Yeah, whatever. Try and sell me something else on that because there's no way I'm going to buy that this had nothing to do with anti-Semitism.
Yeah, but there's other things too. Like we had that other guy there that apparently was caught. He killed both of his parents and was in contact with somebody in Ukraine trying to figure out what drone to get and how to create, an improvised explosive to go to the White House and get Trump. I mean,
and this guy was a white. And I don't understand. This guy was the white supremacist. He was a clear white supremacist. That kid, was 17 years old, I think. Like,
yeah.
What better ally in our government does he have than Donald Trump? I mean, Donald Trump is a clear white supremacist, but for some reason, I guess he thought the chaos that would cause. Maybe he doesn't think Donald Trump is enough of a white supremacist. He needs to be more bigoted. But I think it may very well not have mattered who the president was at the time. It probably would have done the same thing under Harris. But yeah, it's the idea that you want to off somebody who is your, probably best asset in the White House is absurd.
Yeah, but the thing is that I mean, it's already gotten out of hand. I mean, over the weekend there, I was watching Owen's fireside chat, and he had videos of ICE going, and they walked up to the house, and there were 6 of them, all in plain clothes, no identification there, and then claimed that, oh, we're Homeland Security investigations. We're doing a welfare check.
Yeah, show me your warrant. Show me your warrant.
Yeah.
I'm not letting you in. F you.
Yeah, and the guy saw them, and they knocked on his door, and he immediately called the family lawyer, and the lawyer came out and was the one that actually did the videotaping, and there were 6 of them there, none of them in a uniform, all plain clothes, all came in individual cars, unmarked cars, personal cars.
Right.
Now, like that's the scariest shit I've ever seen in a while. You know, it's like, oh, it's bad enough that, oh, you got to be wary of white vans, you know, but now you got to be wary of, you know, individual cars where these guys could literally, you know, box you in with 4 cars and then take you.
Yep.
I mean, if that isn't dystopian as shit, I don't know what else is. And, you know, this is, you know, the Second Amendment is going to come into play before too much longer. And I mean, I think that's what Trump wants, but I don't know what else to say. I mean, could you imagine this? They go and they take somebody, and all of a sudden the citizenry say, nope, not on our watch. And they perform, you know.
I don't know. I don't know what would happen in that circumstance. So, I mean, one would hope that the citizenry would be able to band together. The citizenry would hopefully band together against, you know, a tyrannical despot dictator type person. But we have enough people who are citizens who have no problem with what this despot tyrannical dictator is doing. So, again, I mean, to your point, to the point of the Civil War, my concern is more how many people in the military are going to be loyal to Trump versus how many people in the military are going to be loyal to the country.
Well, you know what? I hate to say it. Trump wasn't worried about the election. My guess is he isn't worried about the military either. I bet you he has. I bet you he has people inside who who are loyalists who will, you know, already have a plan in play. I mean, I can't believe that Steve Bannon is so involved in this and is so whatever. I mean, and then you had Bill Maher there saying, "Oh yeah, I talked to Trump, and he seemed rather human despite what he shows everybody else." And it's like, dude,
that's what
you got played.
Do. Yeah, that's what con men
you
do.
got played.
Bill Maher, for a long time for me, I used to watch Real Time with Bill Maher religiously. Like, I think back in the time when I would go to synagogue, I think I watched Bill Maher more than I went to synagogue. I mean, I don't do either anymore, but still. Point being that he is becoming as useless as Dennis Miller at this point, because he's wanting to be one of those low. I want to talk to both sides. I want to, you know, I think that talking to Trump, you know, is normal and reasonable. Blah blah blah. Oh, he was just a regular guy. Well, you know what? There are a lot of people who, you know, when they hear that somebody, you know, might have committed an act of like a sexual assault against somebody, the people will be like, oh, I couldn't have imagined him doing such a thing. He was such a nice person. Yeah, he was nice to you, but that doesn't mean he's nice to everybody. And the fact that Bill Maher has lost all credibility with me, and to the point of the other thing,
and then you got that.
To the other point you were bringing up,
and then you got that new guy, Stephen A. whatever Miller, the sportscaster, who seems to think that he can put his finger in the political arena and thinks that he's qualified for this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, and as Keith Olbermann has said, he doesn't know shit.
Right.
He's, you know, he goes out there and pretends to be the angry libertarian Republican with sway, and, you know, and he doesn't know shit.
Right.
He doesn't know how it works. He doesn't know how it's funded. He doesn't know the rules and the regulations, and yet he weighs in and goes, "Oh, well, if I was in charge, I mean, it's just despicable, because the thing is that they're all looking."
Clearly, somebody needs to tell Steve A. Smith that he needs to listen to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from Life. That's right, right?
Well, I mean, this is a thing, though. I mean, I look at it and I see so much stupid stuff going on, and I see so many people there who are now looking at, leaving the country. Those
Right.
that are capable. I mean, Legia Miller is another one. She's been like, here's countries to flee to. Here are your options. You need to get a passport. You need to get everything ready. You need to be ready to go. If you're in the line of fire, if you have a large voice that's been out there saying stuff about Trump and the Republicans, that you possibly have a target on your back, and that there's a possibility that these people are going to come, and they and I'm worried about that, because I mean, how much work would it be to shut down the internet and YouTube and stifle all dissent of Trump? I mean, he's already threatening to shut it down the regular media. So how much further does it have to go before we're at that point? I mean, I'm really worried.
That's going to be a lot of questions that are going to be asked in the next days, weeks, and months to come. How much more is it going to take for X to happen? Like I was already saying it to Chad in chat. How much more does it have to happen before you to reject them? How much more has to happen before these people just flat out, revolt? I mean, yeah, MAGA are revolting in and of themselves, but how much does it take?
Well, that's the question. I mean, let's face it, we're all playing Red Dawn scenarios in our head. And that's a scary thing, because that's supposed to be, a piece of entertainment. It's not supposed to be a perceivable reality. And that's the thing. That's literally where we're at, because the Republicans aren't going to do the right thing anymore. They're already compromised. As far as I'm concerned, you might as well just call them all Russians at this point, because that's the playbook that they're all reading from. They've already pretty much given away all their power to Trump, and and the judiciary is basically slanted to the point where there's no reasonable expectation that law and order will exist anymore. I don't know where you go. I mean, well, yeah, I know. I worry about you guys a lot.
Hold on. Over in Twitch, 250 kilo ohm, as we're going, how many times must this happen, or whatever? And 250 kilo ohm responds, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. Anyway, so just had to feel that needed to be fancy. That is Big Hook on the air in chat. So
yeah, it's me, Fancy, and if Maria is there, Ave Maria, there you get your little tune. Ave
Maria. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I try to please everyone. That's my biggest fault. But
I'm similar.
I just don't know where you guys are going, and at this point, it's like you guys are like a pressure cooker right now, and and the question is, at what point does the pot blow apart? Because Steve Bannon had the thing there. He said flood the zone with shit everywhere, and every day it's another scandal, it's another executive order, it's another I mean, where and when did it become the taxpayers' responsibility to pay off Trump's mortgages and businesses, because that's what you guys have been doing. I mean, you know, it's ridiculous. You know, I mean, he could have the Secret Service there, you know, take up residence, and he charges them 2 or 3 times the regular rate. I mean, that pretty much pays all of his bills, you know, to follow him around. Or, you know, Dan Bongino, who requires 20 Secret Service agents to follow him, or FBI agents to follow him around. You know, I mean, you know, there's no end to where this goes. I mean, these people are, you know, beyond ridiculous, you know, for all the belly aching and everything else about responsible spending and being fiscal conservatives and everything. They sure do spend a whole lot of money on absolutely nothing.
Yep.
And I don't know where it's going to go, where it's going to end. I don't know, you know, what it's going to take, but
yeah, I agree. That's where I'm at. So that's just the general frustration of it all.
But that's the thing. The thing that worries me is that you guys are under so much stress, but then all of us that are from the outside are looking in, and we're getting a lot of stress as well, because we're all like, oh God, you know, if this blows up, you know, who's going to be left to keep the world safe, whether it be on the oceans for global trade, or, you know, to, you know, prevent another nuclear holocaust. You know, I mean, this is the thing. We, you know, we put up with a lot, but we don't know where it's going to go. And, you know, that's pretty disturbing.
It is. I mean, to your point, I mean, that is a very good point to bring up. The fact that, you know, if we go, you know, south bigly, as Trump might say, you know, how are trade routes going to be protected if you don't have our military to protect them? I mean, that's I guess one of the reasons why maybe that's by design, because with Donald Trump's in trying to make it so that we're self-sufficient. I mean, North Korea is also self-sufficient, but everyone's piss poor and starving. So self-sufficiency isn't always a good thing either. Sometimes, you know, trade is a good thing, and who the heck cares, you know, if the trade routes, or if it's a trade that we have isn't perfectly aligned as, you know, some might want it to be, because, you know, the other result is the cure being worse than the sickness, as he often said during COVID, when he was concerned that, you know, whatever actions we took would go, quote, too far. But clearly weren't far enough, because hundreds of thousands of people needlessly died, and it was his frickin' fault. So, anyway.
Yeah, but here's the thing, you know, and this is the thing. I saw a thing there yesterday on YouTube, which made a lot of sense, and that said, conservatives like to treat the symptoms, but they don't actually want to go after the root cause. And this is the thing. So, like, for example, why would one steal? Oh, I can't feed myself.
Right.
So what do the Republicans do? Oh, let's cut SNAP benefits.
Right.
Which then results in stealing.
Right.
You know, so it's like, you know,
and then you can lock him up, and then you lock him up for stealing, and then you deport him to El Salvador.
Yeah, you know, I mean, but this is the thing. They are not critical thinkers. They react within the amygdala, where everything is fear. And the thing is that they play right into the millionaires and billionaires' hands, which is basically to obfuscate, deflect, and blame someone else. Meanwhile, they raid the piggy bank and take everything for themselves, and you're left with nothing. You know?
I mean, back in 2016 or 2017, when he was wanting to take power, I was like, yeah, Donald Trump wants to turn Washington upside down. I was like, yeah, the reason he wants to turn Washington upside down is because he wants to shake it like a couch and get all the loose change out and put it in his pockets. So.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I don't know what it's going to take. to fix this thing, because the other thing I saw was a thing there from Bernie from 20 years ago, and he said, here's the thing. If you look at all the Republicans' policies, which only benefit the millionaires and the billionaires, nobody should be voting for them. But what do? They keep doing the same thing. They do divide and conquer. Okay, so affirmative action. Oh, let's get them fighting about the blacks and women's rights and abortion rights and all these other things. And before you know it, they all turn on each other and they start to. And the thing is that you guys are like the worst mathematicians in the world, because you could have 75 things that you want, but if you get one thing that you don't want, you guys decide to vote for the other side and you fuck yourselves. Yep. And that's what's so mind-numbing about the whole situation, is that you keep fickle. Doing this.
The American voter is a fickle bunch, unfortunately, to the detriment of the entire world.
Yeah. And this is what bugs me, and frightens me, because I don't see where your future lies. Because if nobody can trust you, nobody's going to trust you. And then you're going to have nowhere to go. And you're going to have no one to be able to turn to when you need help. Once your reputation's gone, it's gone. And you're going to have to work really hard to get it back. And nobody is going to give it back to you, because you keep putting the same fucking Republicans back into office who have been fucking you over for the last 40 fucking years.
Yep.
Fool
me once, shame. There's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. How many times have these idiots been fooled? I mean, like 70 more?
Well, exactly. But at any rate, I probably went on and said more than I should have, but it's I really care about you guys, and I really want the best for you guys, and I don't know what it's going to take. I mean, you're going to have to do an awful lot more protests and everything else, and you're going to have to start looking after each other and start calling out these people in plain clothes who are pretending to be Homeland Investigative Services, because this shit is it.
They sent the U.S. Marshals to warn the fired DOJ lawyer over the congressional testimony that they were supposed to do. Like, there was the U.S. Justice Department dispatched armed U.S. Marshals to deliver a letter warning a fired career pardon attorney about testifying to congressional Democrats. Her lawyer said in a statement on Monday, this is a highly unusual step of directing armed law enforcement officers to the home of a former Department of Justice employee who has engaged in no misconduct, let alone no criminal conduct, simply to deliver a letter. It's both unprecedented and completely inappropriate, said Michael Bromwich, a lawyer representing the fired pardon attorney Liz Oyer, wrote to the Justice Department. So, I mean, yeah, these people are sending, they're sending armed goons, to go to get people deported. They're sending armed goons to threaten people with actions if they don't, do what they want during a test congressional hearing. Like, I mean, if that was done in any other time, it would be seen as witness tampering and it would be illegal. But again, nothing this president can do will be deemed illegal by the Supreme Court because he's immune from all prosecution. And again, Supreme Court didn't say that everything is allowed. But if you can't subpoena the records for communications, then how the hell are you going to prove it? So anyway, I do appreciate you, Big Hook, as always. We probably will wind up the show pretty soon anyway, but thank you so much for calling. Again, always welcome to call back whenever.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope I gave some voice to other people's concerns as well.
I appreciate you. You did. I'm sure
Canada,
you did.
Yeah, Canada loves you, and we've got maple syrup if you ever want to come up and visit. Anyway,
I'd love to.
Have a good one, guys.
I might have to stay. All right, you have a good one too, Big Hug.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right, and because, let's see, we're going to go ahead and put the Do Not Disturb back on because we got Big Hook calling in or whatever. Let's see, MAGA are insanely ignorant. I was talking to my MAGA dad today about my job. He said they don't teach that woke shit there, do they? I asked him exactly what woke shit is. He said, Yeah, we all know what actually being woke means, but they don't. They don't know what it means whatsoever. To them, woke means liking black people and gay people. That's what wokeness is to them. DEI hire is another way for them to say the N-word. So, you know. Hold on.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Anyway, because I have to do my mother-in-law's last taxes and all that other good stuff. That actually, the anniversary of that was Friday. My mother-in-law passed away a year ago on Friday, so it's been a rough weekend as well. So, but again, thank you all very much. Let me just before we go, let me just do the one more thing. And we'll just bring this back around. And just to remind everybody on the link, if you want to support the show, there's all the different ways to do it. You can like videos, comment on them, share them, get your friends to subscribe to the channel, get the numbers up. We definitely need the help the algorithms. Algor needs more rhythm. But, in all the other ways, Venmo, whatever. But anyway, Matchmasters, the game that I've been doing on my Nerdy Dan stream. Again, I just double checked or whatever. If you get the 3,800 trophies, you can play it for free. But if you get the 3,800 trophies and you buy a pack between $18 and $23, it gets me another 46. So spending 20 on your part gets me 46. Spending 8, or actually it's between 7 and 11 gets me 23. Spending between 3 and 6 gets me 10. So one of the best ways to get more bang for the buck is just to simply download the game and buy a couple goodies, and you'll help the show more than any other financial way of doing so. But anyway, thank you all so much for calling. Again, if you're watching on Twitch, will be a hard break. Otherwise, we'll hear the music on the way out. So thank everybody so much. Appreciate you. If you're not going to join us for Nerdy Dan, the stream tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll be back here Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you all very much, and have a good night. Peace.